How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and let's take a look at some Pokemon leaks and rumors. Let's get started right off the bat with this right here. Now, this was shared to us by none else than Central Leaks, and what he has to say is the following. He says that Pokemon Winds and Waves are apparently currently planned for a release date in September of 2027. Now, we know the game is coming next year. There has been a lot of speculation on when it's going to be coming out. There's been speculation about late 2027, early 2027, mid 2027, and all this sort of stuff, and he's saying September. He says that this is the internal target month the development teams are working towards, of course subject to change or delays. Now, somebody asked who is the source for this. I certainly think it'll be November, because why would it not be? That's when Pokemon releases every game. The only way I could see it being September is if they plan on doing a DLC later in the year like they did with ZA, but I can't see that happening. He says it was from Billy. Now, if you don't know Billy, Billy is a Twitter account that, to put it bluntly, if I just search up Billy, we should be able to find him now. Billy has a locked account, but he does tweet a lot of stuff, and he does tweet some stuff like this. But turns out he could just be messing with them here, saying, share a fun gif about your favorite band, widespread misinformation about a release date. Again, who knows? But this has made a lot of people speculate about the actual date, so I thought we'd take a look at it. So, one of the people, for example, is Light, saying, interestingly, the last three main Pokemon generations have all released in November, which could suggest that Winds and Waves might follow the same pattern. Gen 7, Sun and Moon, of course, released on November 18th of 2016. Gen 8, Sword and Shield, released in 2019, 3 years later, in November again, November 15th that time. Gen 9, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, released on the 18th of November, again in 2022. And then Gen 10, if it's in 2027, which, by the way, as you can see right here, it's 5 years. It will be 5 years between the last generation and the new one, which you got to think about it. 5 years. It's been 4 already, technically, I guess, since Scarlet and Violet came out, almost, which is crazy to just think about, man. Oh my god. Because I feel like it came out yesterday. It really feels like it released just yesterday, but it didn't. So, logically, November still makes the most sense. Again, if Billy was just baiting there and trying to, like, you know, trick people, who knows? He does put, like, the problem with Billy is just that he's an actual leaker. He does know stuff. But the problem is, like, you never know when he's just messing around and when he's being, like, truthful, which can be a little frustrating sometimes to figure out, like, you know, is there any truth to it? Is it valuable to, you know, information? Does it mean anything? But yeah. We'll see. Like, for example, from Blaze here, since the mainline game's marketing starts 6 months before release, that means after Pokemon Day, April should be when we may get the next trailer. So again, even if we don't look at the whole September release date thing, the game will be shown again only next year for Pokemon Day, and we should get the usual thing, which is a new trailer should happen only like about 2 months after the reveal in February, like the first, like, you know, new reveal and images and all that kind of shit. Shortly after that, we should be getting like more info like after that, but yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Either way, next up, we do have this, according to Centro, Gen 8 seeing other people in the wild area. So, for example, if you guys remember the multiplayer aspect of Gen 8, where you could go into the wild area to see your friends and stuff, and then go to the different dens or whatever. Then Gen 9, playing with friends and seeing them live across the region, which, yes, that was a feature of that game. But apparently in Gen 10, multiplayer will be even more of a focus, and Winds and Waves will have MMO features, which is interesting, because what does that imply? Like, what could MMO features mean? Does it mean you can do the story together? Does it mean that you can do, like, I don't know, like, when I'm thinking of like an MMO, I think of an auction house, trading and stuff, which you can already do in Pokemon, but if you can do it like quicker, trading quicker with each other, that would be pretty neat. Like, what else is there really? Like, exploring together more? I mean, you could already do that in Sword and Shield, just on a limited scale. So, like, what MMO features specifically is what I'm curious about. Like, that's an intriguing aspect of this that I'm curious to see. And he elaborates, saying, to add more to this, here's how the gameplay loop for Pokemon Winds and Waves is planned to work. The hotel lobby in the game works like a MMO lobby. The reception desk is the quest board. Oh, okay, so that I can see how that would make sense. Professor works at the hotel. Now, the goal of the game is to participate in the gym adventure, which is where there are over 100 gym adventures. Among them, 18 specially difficult gym adventures. Clearing all those gym adventures awards a luxury prize from the hotel. Now, trainers who excel at the gym adventures may be approached by a gym trainer, trainers, or even the champion. The very first gym adventure you get into is to catch a Pokemon that can learn Surf, so you can leave the first island. actually, this kind of doesn't sound like that half bad. Now, once you leave the first island, the open world starts. You can go anywhere and you can go straight to the final boss. Things like catching the main legendary and battling gym leaders are optional in this game, but will give you an advantage against the final boss like in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this was the plan in the Winds and Waves concept document from 2021, so things could have undergone major changes since then. However, we know MMO features are still in. Again, I would love if they could elaborate even further on those MMO features, but this is actually interesting. Like 100 gym adventures sounds like 100 different quests, but will they add more? And also my biggest fear is, will these gym adventures just be the same? No offense to Legends ZA, actually a lot of offense, never mind, a lot of offense to Legends ZA. It is a garbage game, and I hated the tasks you had to do in that game because most of them just felt like busy work. They didn't feel natural in the world. They didn't feel like they added anything. They felt boring and just like busy work. So I hope that they make these 100 gym adventures. I will be honest, I'd rather have 50 gym adventures, whatever they're called, and make them fun, make them interesting. Don't make it just like go here and I don't know, climb up on this thing in the most boring way possible, and wow, you did it, congratulations. Or oh hey, chase this Pokemon around for like 10 minutes and it just runs in a straight pattern the entire time around a few corners. Like, make it interesting, make it actually fit with the world, make it intriguing, make it fun to do, because that was one of the horrible things about ZA in my opinion, because the actual quests that you do are relatively shit. They're always the same thing. It's always just battle and that's it. Battle and that's it. And it's like, okay, but like make it more interesting. Like do something more intriguing with it. Make me work for it in a different way. Make me explore for it. Like there's so many things they could try to do differently about it. Just look at any other like actual MMO games that try to do something different with their like actual questing. I think Guild Wars 2 would be a good example of something like that. But other than that, like just look at games. Actually, don't even look at MMOs. Look at stuff outside of MMOs. So I think MMOs actually suffer from that big issue of like they're very grindy games where people don't even interact with the quests. But if you make the quests interesting and maybe let the quests open up more about the lore of the world and give you insight. Like one of the things I like about games like Dark Souls, for example, is that if you do a weird side quest, right, or try to get a specific weapon or something, that weapon will have a backstory that is deep and connected to the world in some way, shape, or form. Add something like that. Like, give us a purpose. Give us, like, an actual reason that isn't just, whoop-de-doo, you get a gold cap. Like, wow, woohoo, so exciting. Like, give us an actual reason to explore. So, we'll see. Also, by the way, Pokemon Company themselves have actually officially, I don't know if this means, like, Game Freak decided this, but either way, Pokemon have officially divided the main series into 3 different eras. So, this is not generations themselves. We already know generations like, you know, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, so on and so forth. But this is eras now. So, they define it as the first era was Game Boy to Game Boy Advanced. The second one was a DS to 3DS. And then the current one we're in is the Switch era to, I guess, the Switch 2 era, whenever that ends. I'm guessing it's going to last for those two. And then because the thing is, we don't know what comes after the Switch 2. We know the Switch 2 is probably going to run from now until like 2037. Probably, I would assume, like 2037, maybe until then. We're going to have that for a while, or 2035. I don't know if it's going to run for a few years, okay? 2035 maybe. For like the next decade, we're stuck with the Switch 2. And since we're stuck with it, we're not going to see a new console, which means all the games are going to be part of this era, as they call it. So we'll see what comes from that. We'll see if anything like worthwhile comes from it. But another thing also, early mobile Pokemon Champions mobile early build UI. So yeah, you can see what that's going to be looking at. It's coming to the mobile. Oh god, it's very soon, isn't it? I think it was like August, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually, it was September, but it's coming very soon. We already got confirmation for that, and of course with the Pokopia DLC coming in August. So this is coming. Hopefully, whoever's interested in it, you'll have a chance to try it. Personally, I'm going to be honest, Champions is kind of just not my cup of tea. I'm going to be real with you, but yeah, we're going to have to see what happens with that. Also, this is an interesting piece of information. This is the actual original source of this is this post right here from our boy Ball Guy. And this was a whole thing where people were asking, like, do you know anything about what the development timeline is looking like for the game, for Winds and Waves? And he posted this on 8th of June, so this is like over a week ago. And he says, the game is just waiting to get into QA, which is, by the way, if you don't know what QA means in game development, or really in any context, QA just means quality assurance. So when a game and a product is finished, at least like on a general sense, right? It has to go through QA, which is quality assurance, to check that it actually works. This is something that companies have to do, and companies tend to do, because ideally you don't want a product that is potentially dangerous, potentially broken, potentially whatever, right? Some companies don't pay for quality assurance, which is why we end up with terrible games that have a bunch of bugs and and things like that. Whereas other studios will, make sure they have a whole dedicated team, literally people whose job it is to play a game and literally find issues. And that is what QA is in this case. So apparently the game is waiting to go into QA, and the last update he received on the status was there was some CPU related optimization that needed to be done. So CPU, that's just the brain of your computer, or in this case the console, the Switch 2, and apparently some optimization issues or optimization related stuff needed to be addressed, I guess, before they continued or worked on getting the game ready to be shipped. But the fact that they're that far in pretty much means that the game is finished, as we kind of already assumed, because you have to remember, this is something that people often forget, and I have to constantly like repeat, which is, you have to understand, these games are already done. So when people are like, oh, they have more time to work on it, sure, they actually do have more time now to do some quality assurance, some fixes and stuff, but they don't need a year and a half to do that kind of stuff. If the game is essentially done, which is, it wouldn't go into QA if it wasn't done, right? I mean, sure, you might do a little bit of it, here and there, but generally speaking, if the game is waiting to go into quality assurance testing, just to make sure the game is ready to ship, that means the game is pretty much done. Like, the actual bulk of the game, like the 90% of the game is finished. The last 10% is just to get it over the line so it doesn't have game-breaking bugs that literally brick your Switch 2 on launch day. That kind of shit is what they need to, flesh out at this point, which they will do. Do they need essentially 2 years to do that? Not really, but it again brings me to the whole point that the games are usually already finished. So when you're sitting and thinking hey, we have extra time, they can do more, they can add more. They're not gonna, just know that they're not gonna add more content to the game than their original plan. This is something we learned from the leaked documents about Game Freak and how Pokemon games are made. When a Pokemon game is made, they set a specific scope. So if their scope is to only fill, I don't know, this can of, I'm not even gonna give them I'm not gonna give them free advertising. Let's say this really suspicious green can here, okay? So let's say if you have this can, right? If your goal is to only fill this can up till here for 33 I don't know, centiliters or whatever, whatever this thing is. I think it is 33. Oh no, what am I saying? 33? 500 milliliters, okay? No, 330 milliliters. There it is. So if you're planning on filling it up to 330 milliliters, this is the can you made for it. This is your planned goal, is this specific can, this size, right? And you cannot fill it further because that was your original scope. You're not going to do more than just fill the can. And that's the same concept here with this game, which is the game had a specific goal. It's going to be like this. This is as much as we're going to do. And actually, the worst case scenario is that they fill the can less because they don't have to fill it all the way to the top. So certain stuff they maybe plan to have in that scope and that goal of theirs, they might remove, but they won't be adding stuff. So just keep in mind that whatever they set out to make, they already finished that game. That game is already done. Winds and Waves is done. The only thing we have with these delays is just essentially at this point, kind of time for them to catch up with other projects, right? So at this point, it allows them to be one game ahead always, right? Which I think they kind of needed, because I think COVID and everything that happened with that entire era of Pokemon and stuff definitely delayed a lot of internal stuff. All the leaks that happened with the Terra leak probably caused a lot of havoc over at Game Freak, so they kind of need a little bit of space. Not because they need that time to maybe develop the game as much, because I'm pretty sure they're already done with the current game, but they're delaying it so that going forward, they can always have a game coming out every single year. Because I think after this point, after Gen 10 comes out, we're going to have a new game every single year again. I'm pretty sure, because it just feels like we're going to get back to that whole shtick again. But we'll see if that actually comes through. Maybe I'm just yapping. Maybe I'm dumb. And Millennium has some stuff to say about that, saying that according to information shared by Ball Guy, the Winds and Waves have entered a quality assurance QA phase. The latest update points to CPU optimization being the current focus of internal testing. This is typically one of the final stages of development, where effort shifts towards performance, stability, and overall polish, with most of the game's core content already completed. Exactly. Again, this was when the Direct was happening. Do you think we'll get to see Winds and Waves? We didn't, of course. But yeah. Again, it is just how this stuff works. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've pretty much covered what I had to cover here. So hopefully that was useful to you all. Hopefully I shared some stuff maybe you might have already seen or heard about some of this stuff. I've been trying to not spam you guys with videos because there hasn't really been a lot of stuff to talk about. And the stuff that has been there, I've just decided, you know what, I'll just wait until I can accumulate more stuff to talk about, and I'll do that. I will be doing some Pokopia stuff once that DLC drops and all that. I'll be covering it. And of course, I'll be doing some prediction videos and streams going forward as well in regards to Pokemon wins and ways. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out and bye-bye.